Hello, and welcome to The Dirty Truth. My name is Benjamin Harris, and today we're going to discuss what is a woman. This video has a trigger warning. I will not pander to social norms, and it's not suitable for children. This topic should be discussed between children and their parents. All right. In this zone, Ben Shapiro says it best: facts don't care about your feelings. So this is for all of the Fallon Foxes and Leah Thomases in the world. Here we go. Let's start with some definitions. So what is a woman? How's it defined? A woman, an adult female human being. Man, an adult male human being. Everybody's going to be like, oh no, what's this mean? Is there some kind of spectrum? So what's a spectrum? All right, a spectrum is defined three different ways. A band of colors is seen in a rainbow produced by separation of the components of light by their different degrees of refraction according to wavelength. That's not what we're talking about. B, the entire range of wavelength of electromagnetic radiation. Also not what we're talking about. C, used to classify something or suggest that it can be classified in terms of its position on a scale between two extremes or opposite points. That's the one. Okay, so in this video, what a spectrum is going to try to determine is there some kind of scale between the two extremes, what a man is and what a woman is. So a woman is a female and a man is a male. So what is a female? A female is defined as denoting the sex that can bear offspring or produce eggs, distinguished biologically by the production of gametes. That's in the ova, all right, that's the egg, which can be fertilized by male gametes, the sperm. So the mother, the female, the woman, has to be able to produce eggs, and the eggs have to be able to be fertilized. So the egg will contain half of the mother's, or the female, or the woman's DNA, okay? And then the male is the opposite. He's denoting the sex that produces the small, typically motile gametes, which is the sperm. All right, so half of the DNA comes from the father in the sperm, and half of the DNA comes from the mother in the egg. Put them two together, it makes a baby. That's going to be very important right here in a minute. Okay, so when they're defined, man and woman is only defined in reference to their reproductive capabilities. That's very important here. So there's no scale. Either you make an egg or you make a sperm, because half of the DNA from the mother is in the egg and half of the DNA from the father is in the sperm. Put them together and it makes more babies. So let's see if we can change the body medically to fit this definition. Let's see if we can make it a spectrum. Okay, so let's go from male to female. So what would we have to do to a male to make it a female? Well, let's start by transitioning and taking away the man parts and putting on woman parts. So let's cut off the testicles so it doesn't make any more sperm. And then I guess they take the penis and kind of turn it inward to make the vagina. Okay, so is that now a woman? Nope. Because remember, in order for it to be a woman, it must be able to bear offspring and produce eggs, which can be fertilized by the male. So it's not a woman yet. All right. So science today is trying to go one step further. They're trying to take female reproductive organs and put them inside a man. All right. So let's do that. Let's go one step further. So let's do that first process, and now we're going to also transplant a cervix, a uterus, fallopian tubes, and ovaries. Okay, so now this what used to be a man has no testicles, it has a vagina, it has all of the stuff that's necessary to make an egg and grow a baby and then deliver it. Now is it a woman? Nope. Here's why. Okay, so let's take two men. All right, you got one man that wants to stay a man. Then you got one man that wants to become a woman. All right. So this guy that wants to become a woman, he does all of the things that we just talked about. He transitions all the way to what we just said. And then they get married and make a baby. All right, so the dude that turned into a woman has grown the child inside his body and then delivered it. Now let's do a maternity test. Let's see who the father of the baby is and who the mother of the baby is. So when you do the maternity test, it's going to show that the guy that was a guy is the father. And then it's going to show that the guy that turned into the woman is not the mother. The mother of the child is going to be the female that donated the organs that went inside the male. She's the mother. So the guy that carried the baby to term isn't related to the baby at all. Okay? So how can we make this transgender woman, which is a man that has now become a woman, how can we make him related to the baby? This is how you do it. All right, so before you do all of the transition stuff that you got to do, you take his sperm and then freeze it. Now you do all of that transition stuff, okay? And then you take, and that takes like a year, takes longer than a year. But anyway, you take his sperm and now you fertilize the egg that he's carrying in his body, and then it becomes, it does its thing. 9 months later, it becomes a baby, and then he delivers the baby. Let's do another maternity test. Let's see who the parents are. All right, so it's going to show that the mother, again, is the mother. The mother of the child is the female that donated the organs that are now inside the guy. It's going to show the father as being the guy who is now a woman that has all of the female stuff in him and delivered the baby. That's who the father's going to be. So you can't change the fact that the male body has the DNA of a male and the female body has the DNA of a female. Even if you transplant the organs from the person from the donor, that's the DNA that it's going to keep. So it's not the male body isn't producing eggs. It's just housing the thing that is producing the eggs. So in order for the man to become a woman, he would have to change his DNA, and then his DNA would have to go into the eggs, and then it get fertilized and make another baby, and then say that he's the mother. That's the way DNA works. So the conclusion to this is that a man can never be a woman, and a woman can never be a man. It's in the DNA, okay? So since we're on that subject, since we're on the subject of transgenderism, I guess you would call it, what about transgenders in sports? Should transgender athletes be able to compete in sports? I would say yes. All right. There's a very easy way to determine who gets to play where. So to protect women's sports, the way that you do it is you take all XX chromosome people and say they compete in women's sports. Okay? All other people, XY or XX, that want to be XY, or XY that want to be XX, all of that group competes in the men's division with XY people. And then you have there's no one person dominating the sport. So like I brought up the Fallon Fox and the Leah Thomas, right? So Fallon Fox was an MMA fighter. It was a dude that had a daughter with his wife, and then was like, you know what, I think I want to be a woman. He served in the Navy or something, gets out of the Navy, was a truck driver, does the transition, now he's a fighter. This is still a dude, right? Still a fighter, or still a man, and he's transitioned. Fights in the ring, cracks two women's skulls in somebody's eye socket, breaks an eye socket, and then Leah Thomas is a dude. All right, that's a guy that thinks he's a girl, and he's competing against women, and he's just destroying. He's breaking all of the school records and stuff. All right, so in order to protect the women that want to be a woman, you just say that all of those people can compete against men, because Fallon Fox has the body of a man. So just let him fight men. He's probably going to get beat a lot. And Lia Thomas is probably not going to make, he's not going to win any meets. He's not going to break any records. They've done this before. In tennis, they did it with Serena Williams. So check out this video, 4 times that men and women faced off in tennis, by Colt Tennis. That's who put the video out. It's a really good video. It shows the old professionals. So the first 3 matches that they're talking about are the older generation, and then the newer generation was Serena Williams and her sister, and they claimed that they could beat any man that was ranked 200 or lower. So there was a guy, he was ranked 203. He took him up on the challenge. After he played a round of golf that day and then had a couple of beers, he beat both of them. He beat Serena and her sister. And then they've done it in other fighting forms too. So it's not just Fallon Fox here that I'm talking about. Lucia Riker, she did this on purpose. She was known in the press as the most dangerous woman in the world. And when she was 25 years old, she weighed 127 pounds. Her fight record was 34 fights. She had 33 wins, no losses, and 1 draw. She had 12 KOs. She fought a guy named Samache Jadi. He was 21 years old. He weighed 130 pounds, and his record was 14 fights. He had 13 wins, 1 loss, and 9 KOs. And he KO'd her in the beginning seconds of the second round. Knocked her out cold, right? I mean, that's what's going to happen when you put men and women together. So the example is, like in today's day and age, let's say you take Amanda Nunes or Ronda Rousey, right? Say they're some of the top female MMA fighters. Let's say they both are like, you know what, I think I want to be a dude. And then they get into the ring with men. Now, there might be some inexperienced men that they can beat, maybe. Might be 1 or 2. But they're not going to dominate the sport. And they're definitely not going to crack anybody's skull, probably, right? So nobody's going to be feared for the men in the ring because they're fighting these, top-ranked female fighters. Nobody cares. They're not going to hurt the men like the men are going to hurt them, okay? And the reverse role, the reverse example of this would be, so they're not going to dominate. The reverse example of this would be like Conor McGregor. Let's say he decides he wants to be a woman. All right, so now he does all the stuff so he can get licensed to fight as a woman. He's going to destroy everybody in his weight class. He'll beat every woman that wants to fight MMA in his weight class, hands down. And he could probably do it. He could probably do it without even punching them. Just kicks only. Kicks and chokes and takedowns. No striking, because he's deadly with his hands. I mean, look, his first boxing match, he fought the best boxer, in the world, and almost beat him. He went all 10 rounds with him, right? Floyd Mayweather. And, I watched the fight. I still think McGregor won. And that was his first boxing match ever. He's not a boxer. He's a mixed martial artist. So when you're talking about athletics and men competing against women on the top levels, no woman can compete with a man on the top level. It's just not. It's biologically not going to happen. And it's because the DNA inside of the body is what determines if you're a man or a woman. So if your body produces the DNA that makes eggs, then you're a woman. If it produces the DNA that makes the sperm, you're a man. And you can't change that. This would also You know, with the same rules for sports, if you did those rules for the bathroom privileges, that would fix the bathroom issues. I know that's an issue for some of the schools where some guys have said that they were girls and now they're using the girls' bathrooms and they go into the bathroom and rape somebody. One kid did it twice and still isn't in jail for it. The first time he did it, they tried to cover it up and they just made him change schools. That's been brought up in Congress. That's what they were talking about in Congress, right? So if you want to fix that problem, you just say that the women's bathroom, just like women's sports, only XX people can go into the women's bathroom. Everybody else, uses the bathroom with the men. So if you're XY, you're in the men's bathroom. If you're XY that thinks that you're XX, you're still in the men's bathroom. If you're a XX that thinks that you're XY and you're transitioning, taking the steroids and stuff to become a man, well, you're going to bathroom and you're going to use that bathroom anyway. So go in that bathroom. Even if you're XY and you've transitioned and you've cut off your genitals, so you've changed your genitals, you still have to go into the bathroom with the men. I wouldn't see why that would be a problem. Because men's bathrooms have stalls just like women's bathrooms, so you're still going to sit down to pee, right? So that would fix that. In conclusion, a man can never be a woman, and a woman can never be a man. And then, for sports, XX competes only in the women's category. Everybody else competes with men. That fixes the sports issues, and then women's sports are protected. And the same thing for the bathroom. XX is the women's bathroom. Everything else goes to the bathroom with the men. That fixes that. I don't know what else you would have to debate about if you did it that way, because then everybody's safe, right? So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope everybody's having a great day. Please like and subscribe, and let's see what you got on the comments.